Here we are again, and another video. And like I keep saying, I'm doing these videos because uh, you know I enjoy it for one, and it helps me crystallize the ideas that I'm being sort of shown in these particular books and the literature. And of course, if anybody sees these, then of course, it's really nice to open up any kind of debate on some of these subjects, um, like-minded, of course. Um, the current book that I'm going through talks about um, the way it was described is really funny because I think I got an image straight away, and I think basically it talks about this idea that a lot of the troubles in our life tend to be external to us, and we spend our time pretty much looking the wrong way. Now, I think what they mean by that is, I suppose I remember when I was a child, and I'm suppose many of you do as well. Some of the funnier comedies, I suppose, was where somebody is looking for something over here, and of course, the joke is that it's landing over there. And I think basically, um, this is what we tend to do. I think we're so busy kind of looking in this direction and trying to find where the problem is that we forget that we're looking the wrong way. Instead of looking outwardly, then we have to look inwardly, because I think that's where the solutions are as well. Um, and I suppose the problem also is that we've been conditioned. I keep talking about this. We've been conditioned to think that we're limited. We don't really have a framework within which we can work and look at ourselves introspectively. So it really is a difficult concept sometimes, that we think all of our problems are on the outside. The way it's described to me in these books is that all of our problems seem to be in form. So they could be, something that you can see. And we have a little bit of a problem when we have a little bit of a problem when we kind of try to look inwardly. And we cling to this idea that, this is the way things are and this is how we cope. And when we're offered something different, it is a bit of a struggle, because we've spent our lifetime in some ways working in a particular fashion and looking outwardly. I heard something last night which really moved me and really spoke to this idea of clinging to something. And I'd rather not paraphrase it, because I think it took me a while to find it, the actual reference to it and the story. But I think it really speaks to this idea. So I'm going to read it just to emphasize this point. It's a story that the Buddha was teaching, and it's from a book called The Legacy of the Heart, Legacy of the Heart. And I'll just read it for you now, or for me now. It says, a young widower who loved his 5-year-old son very much was away on business, and bandits came, burned down his whole village, and took his son away. When the man returned, he saw the ruins and panicked. He took the charred corpse of an infant to be his own child, and began to pull his hair and beat his chest, crying uncontrollably. He organized a cremation ceremony, collected the ashes, and put them in a very beautiful velvet pouch. Working, sleeping, or eating, he always carried the bag of ashes with him. One day his real son escaped from the robbers and found his way home. He arrived at his father's new cottage at midnight and knocked at the door. You can imagine at the time the young father was still carrying the bag of ashes and crying. He asked, "Who's there?" And the child answered, "It's me, Papa. Open the door. It's your son." In his agitated state of mind, the father thought that some mischievous boy was making fun of him, and he shouted at the child to go away and continue to cry. The boy knocked again and again, but the father refused to let him in. Some time passed, and finally the child left. From that time on, Father and son never saw one another again. After telling this story, the Buddha said, "Sometime, somewhere, you take something to be the truth. If you cling to it so much, when the truth comes in person and knocks on your door, you will not open it." Now that really moved me, and it really speaks to this idea that, when we've believed something for so long and we've been told by well-meaning parents, or we've been brought up in a way or a culture that tells us that this is the way things are, then, as the Buddha says there, when the truth comes knocking, then you're just so agitated, I suppose, and irritated by this new idea that you just can't take it in, and it's a real struggle. And I include myself in that. I was just as skeptical as anyone else, and that was just simply, I didn't realize for a long time, that was just simply down to my conditioning. And what I suppose I'm looking for now in terms of this reading, and in terms of my own journey, or my own path, is that I'm just now willing to look at things a little bit differently, and maybe there is a different way of doing things for me that will give me a bit more of a sense of peace. So, and I've got work to do. I know I have, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the idea that there's an opportunity there. I'm enjoying the literature that I'm reading, and I'm getting an awful lot out of it. And this, again, is why I'm doing these videos. So I think when we look at change and we're a bit fearful of it, and we think, well, okay, I just don't understand what this is all about, then there is always for me, or for me now particularly, another viewpoint. And in a lot of ways, it brings a lot of peace to the struggles that I think we face. A lot of the things, as I said, seem to be inform this idea that the problems, that the relationships, they're all people or work colleagues or relationships. But I think if you're willing to see things differently, just for a moment, then I think it makes a huge difference to a lot of people. So that was just a quick one today. I may do one later. I don't know. I like that idea of saying do one. I know a lot of people out there will say, go on, please do one. But it always makes me laugh when I say that. But I'm really enjoying this, and I hope anybody who sees this can see it in my eyes that I just, it's changed me. I'm feeling good, and I hope you are too. And I hope there's far too much stuff on the news, which I see as a pantomime at the moment. And in the world in general, I think there is scope and there is room for this way of thinking. Once again, I think we need to move away from our computers. And here I am making a video diary, I suppose, on a computer. But I think you know what I mean. So try not to cling to your truth too much. And I think that's the message of this video particularly. And just open your eyes that little bit